Good evening, Stuart. Good evening, everybody. Yes, sadly, I missed that one as I can't see my little monitor in the booth. Cough, cough, hint, hint. Yes, we are here at the world famous Daytona. Of course, we should always start it off with a bit of Daytona.
Yes.
It's needed, and a bit of roaring starts. The fantastic music of Daytona. Look, what an absolute classic track, of course. This place is, well, it is one of the greatest places there is. You can't get much better than Daytona, in all honesty.
Well, I think everybody knows Daytona for exactly the reason you just mentioned, which is if you were into gaming in the 90s, the arcade Daytona, and they're still getting around today. Big favourite amongst teenagers, just driving around, ramming it down a gear, turning in and holding on for the best. It certainly didn't have any reflection on reality. It was a good fun game, so there's any of that here tonight in the trucks.
I'll tell you what though, you give any of these lads the chance to go to an arcade and race one of those machines, they will be on it like a fly to some kind of fecal matter. They will be straight there because it is just so much fun. We all grew up with it, and I think it's the start of many NASCAR addiction.
Yeah, absolutely, it will be. So, probably time if we can, Carl, if you've got them there, just to run us through the points.
Yeah, absolutely. Standing wise, it is, I'm sure to everybody's surprise, Jason Martin leading the championship. I mean, a shocker, I know. Jason Martin out 36 ahead of Andrew Dyson at the moment. Andrew Dyson having a really good run recently, trying to catch up to Mr. Jason Martin. Of course, drop rounds are still to come. Matty Raymond sits in third, 38 points off the lead. 41 points down in fourth is Stevie Dub. Fifth is Danny G, 51 off the lead. Sixth is Dave Douglas, 54 off the lead. Seventh is Micklemore, 55 down. Eighth is Griffiths, having a good run this season, 63 off the lead. Ninth is Aidan Schultz, 76 off the lead, really resurgent at the end of the year. And Riley Curtis, 6th and 10th, 90 points down.
Absolutely. My audio's a little bit better there. We're just to delete everything and start again. So just adding on a couple of the pieces. It was a little quiet. I will tune that up there, but we should be all good now.
Obviously, it's just a thing of you're just so softly spoken, Stuart. That's the main reason. I mean, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I'm sure that's what most people who know me would think is how softly spoken I can be, but nonetheless. So we've got just on 3 minutes left before we get into a solo qualifying here. Definitely a thing to be done at a track like Daytona. So got 20-30% more. I've just added some gain to that, guys, so hopefully that's better now.
Yeah, qualifying is one of those tricky things. I mean, obviously you're going to be out there solo. There's no drafting, so the times will not be the same as they are at the moment. Of course, out there at the moment, they're all in the draft, so the times will drop off by a good couple of seconds. I mean, you're going to gain a good extra 10-15 miles per hour out there with the draft. So in qualifying, it's all about getting that lap perfect, and it's that second lap that counts.
Yeah, absolutely it will be. So, and a long-ish lap by standards. We've got 43 trucks on track tonight, and it's Dave Douglas is in the chat at the moment, fresh off a top 10 in the Bathurst 1000 on the weekend. He was driving with Luke Trahere. He's going to start without qualifying tonight, and I'm not surprised with a field this big. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when the big one will be, and it will be, I don't know, should we hedge some bets on when it might be? I'm not sure.
Well, look, it's an absolute full server. I mean, that says a lot, doesn't it, really? That really says everything. Daytona is one of those places everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to get a top 5 finish here. And it's not easy to do. It's one of those places where, if you get a win at Daytona, you're going to be super happy. Get a top 5, you're going to be pretty happy. You get a top 10, you're going to be happy. But there is that chance of that big crash coming, and chances are you're not going to finish that race. You're going to be sitting on the sideline with a very, very blown up car. So honestly, I'm going to probably go lap 11. I think I'm going to go lap 11 for the big one.
Lap 11, so an early on tip there for you, Carl. I think we might get I reckon it's either going to be earlier. It might even be on lap 4 or 5. We've got a couple of new names in. We've got some guys that haven't run with us for a while as well. So there's not that group of drivers that we're totally used to running with. But so I'm going to go lap 8 for the big one. It's either going to be there, or I think we might see it with 4 or 5 to go. Just for something different. Just for something different.
Very hopeful of you there, indeed.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a number of laps to get through here tonight, and we do have to get to work tomorrow, so we can't have too many cautions.
Well, this is true, of course. Speaking of work, teams are going to be working together tonight. That's going to be the main thing to watch out for. You're going to want your teammates around you to help you just get out of the main line. They're going to be running 2 wide here. You want to get into that little nice air bubble behind the car. Use the draft to your advantage, of course. You see them running 3 wide at the moment with Aaron Dillon, Josh Micklemore, Luke Georgeson, and just joining up on the back is Michael Schroeder, just dropping off there, actually. But the reason they all run so close like that is effectively it turns the truck into one giant truck. It cuts the air off from the back, reduces the drag, makes everybody go faster. So you're going to see pack racing like that, where they're going to stick together like glue to be as close as possible to try and get a good run.
So Steve Hoppett's jumped into the chat. Welcome, Steve, to the evening's proceedings. He reckons lap 2, it's going to be messy early, and he's tipping big JCW for the win. He's been knocking on the door. He just hasn't quite got there of late, so let's see how he gets on here. And in fact, why not? Let's jump on board with JCW. He's out on track already for qualifying, and Carl will let him get through this warm-up lap. And I don't know, do you want to call the first lap, or do we want to look at the second lap? I think to see how he gets going.
It's not like it's a very long lap here, so I might not have time to just do one.
Okay, fair enough. That's true. You might struggle in the 46 seconds you reckon to get through.
That's it. I mean, look, Daytona is. No, I mean, what more can we say about Daytona? I mean, it is one of those fantastic tracks. And JCW is a good call, actually. He has got some really good records on super speedways. Don't discount Dave Douglas, another driver that has a incredibly good run on the old super speedways. So both drivers with really, really good odds on them. So we're coming up to the start finish line now. It's a little bit further back than normal, not quite as far back as Talladega. First corner we're coming up to here, and you can see very, very high banking, of course. Really nice steep banking to these corners, which gives you extra speed to get around there. And that's the important thing. That's the thing about the oval tracks, especially the super speedway. It's all about that banking. You want to get a little bit close to the wall on your second lap just to help keep the car nice and straight. Down the big long back straight here. This is the only real straight on the section, the back straight, of course. And then you're coming into turns 3 and 4. Again, nice heavy banking getting in there. JCW just running up a little bit high for this section, and he's going to cut down towards the end of this to try and get a little bit of extra speed. And then we get into the tri-oval section itself. And this is where the start-finish straight goes. Now, on this first lap, JCW will probably keep up a little bit higher, but then when it comes across the line, he'll probably drop down a little bit to that yellow line, just drop underneath it. You can't do that in the race, of course. If you drop underneath that yellow line, you will earn yourself a penalty, but in qualifying, you can usually get away with it. So we get through the first 2 corners here. Speeds of 275 kilometers per hour mid-corner right here. We're going to get up a little bit higher on the back straight, around about 278. 276, that sort of area as we get up here. It does just start to get the drag hitting of your truck. The engine really working hard. There's not much you can do about it. You just have to hold on. Getting into the corner again, keeping a nice low line here. Getting through for his second qualifying lap here at Daytona. How's this one going to go for JCW in the Atari Autosport car? The yellow Bumblebee is about to cross the line, jumps below that yellow line, gets up to P1. Very nice lap from JCW.
Yeah, gets the job done there. And some good first laps from the field as well, so he's going to do well to stay there. We'll keep an eye on that, obviously, throughout the balance of this session. Just going to continue for a running, probably practice maybe a pit entry, which can be a little bit challenging at these super speedways, of course. Jumps up to P1.
Well, what you're saying, just that sort of pit entry, of course, you're coming off the banking, for about 31 degrees of banking, I think it is. So it is very steep, and when you come off that banking, sometimes it's easy to just get the back end loose. So you do want to get that practice in. You're also braking from 270 odd kilometers per hour, and you've got to brake down to around about 90 kilometers per hour for that pit lane. And these things do not have the best brakes. Jason Martin at the moment up there in P1. So Jason Martin, an absolute flyer on his first lap. How's he going to go on his second one?
Yeah, well, Brad Allison as well, jumping in for a run tonight. He's done a 52.2 as well. Luke Trahera 52.1, a 52.21, I should say. So they're both done for their run. So it's up to Martin here to see if he can get across the line and improve on his first lap around. Wouldn't surprise me. This is his bread and butter, these trucks, and he does just that, 52.17 to head to the top of the charts. Danny G also with a 52.2, so very, very close at the front as you would expect on a track like this. Jamie Budd jumping in for a run tonight. I haven't seen him for a little bit, so it's good to see. Out in the 180.
Nice. Nice to see Jamie Budd out there. I believe he's streaming at the moment as well, so if you want to go back and re-watch some of the action, you can catch a lot of these drivers on social media, and they have their own little streaming and things like that. And it's a good way to get an idea of what it's like to actually race in these sessions, because it's one of those things that you sort of you don't realise just how scary it is until you actually sit on board and get a bit of an idea.
Well, there you go. So that's qualifying run and done. It was I didn't even see the fact that we've run out of time there, but we will bring the grid up on screen for you now. And for some reason, it's decided it wants to start at the back. Let's not do that. Jason Martin on pole position with Danny G next to him. And it's Brad Allison and Luke Trahera off 2 with Mick Taylor and Scotty Griffiths off row 3. Then we've got Joshua Carroll-Walden and Troy Davison off row 4. Good effort from Troy there with Mirko Dortnak and Luke Georgeson off 5. Josh Micklemore, Aaron Dillon off row 6. I think starting up the front is going to be important tonight. Then Aaron Hayden and Michael Skurlock off 7. Justin Howe and Steve Williams off 8, even with Kate Donnelly and Jamie Budd off 9. Then it's Christopher Lethberg and Jaden Russell off 10. With Noam Clark and Andrew Dyson off 11. Igor Burkic and Ben Vickers off row 12. Then we've got Jay Brazier, my apologies there, Jay Brazier and Todd Maxfield off 13, Philip Howe, Dwayne Priest off 14 with Gary Wellman and Tristan Koch off 15. Then it's Ruben Phelps and Double D Dave Douglas off number 16 with Matty Ray and Mike Schroeder off 17. Then Brent Hobbs and Christopher Finlay off row 18 as we continue to go back. It's Aidan Schultz and Lachlan Urquhart off 19 with Matty Hunter and Riley Curtis off 20, followed by Glenn McLeod, Michael Shaw, and rounding out the 43 trucks for round 9 of the ANZCAR Truck Series is Daniel Weaver.
Absolute packed field out there at the moment. Great to see. It's going to be a chaotic start, and look, it's all about patience. It's going to be a thing about keeping patient, keeping the car, keeping the truck settled tonight. That's going to be an important thing. You don't want to push too hard too quickly. You can't win this race on the first lap, but you sure as heck can lose it. You can even lose it before the first lap. We've seen that happen in the past, sometimes before you can get to the start-finish line.
Yeah, absolutely we have. There's been a little bit of backing up and things like that have hindered some starts. Hope we don't see that tonight. Obviously, there's no reason to. But plenty of trucks rolling out here. Have a look at this. Imagine this in the real world as well. The crowd would be going absolutely bonkers. So everyone gets out on track. A little bit of a split in the field. That'll close up. Before it is Jason Martin, plenty of experience here, who will take us away with a very strong competitor next to him in the Silent Assassin, as he's become to be known this season, Danny G. Just managing to get into the podium places there quite sneakily, but tonight he's starting with a fantastic chance of converting for Mitch Motorsport, as he has done this season. So he'll be looking to do that with his teammate, working with Jason Martin, who I think it would tell you himself that the truck is his preferred method of transport.
And we mentioned a little bit earlier, Luke Trahere just sitting there on that second row. Of course, a really good run at Bathurst with Double D, so good to see him still going well and not too sore after the weekend.
He'll be happy to be up in P4, actually, I reckon, Luke, with what could transpire here. So let's get this underway. Round 9 of the ANZCAR Truck Series, Season 3, 2021, and it's Jason Martin who drops the hammer straight away. There's bunch up in the pack already, and that is bad news in the background there. I think that might have been... I've lost my names, but
Norman Clark got caught up in that. They managed to not wreck somehow, although I think we might have a wreck coming up now. It was Jaden Russell, I think, who got caught up in him. Tristan Dyson and Daiso, as well as Igor Burkick as well, I believe. So, no, Todd Maxfield, sorry, Igor, it was Todd Maxfield that got caught up, and then down went Andrew Dyson, I think, and that was him. That's him very much gone out of this race, I think.
Yeah, it's just bunched up there a little bit, and he ended up, I saw him get caught up in it and then drop down, I think, into Jaden Russell. So, unfortunate there on the start, but it looked like there was some, I don't know, balking or a pack up. Anyway, we get underway here. We're 2 by 2 as we expect to spend some of the night. There were 3 wide for a little while there at the start of the race. There's nothing to be gained from doing that this early on as we get this one underway.
Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can figure out what happened there.
Just looked like there was a check-up in that top line, about half a dozen cars, Cole. And I think Daiso just got caught out in it and then tried to avoid it and hit the wall and unfortunately then dropped down into Russell. So if you can find it and unpack that for us, it'll keep us at the front here as Troy Davison's moved up 6 positions from the start, if you don't mind. So's Luke Georgeson, and they are now inside the top 4. Luke Trahere dropping a few spots off the start. No surprises that Riley Curtis, Michael Shaw are up 7 places from the rear of the field, but we have got 2 packs that have formed here, and you're certainly going to need to work together in that back pack to try and make your way up to this lead group.
So the only thing I can see is possibly Jane Budd may have just missed a gear, and that caused Jaden Russell to go into the back of him. So just going back to dissect that a little bit. So that's the only thing I can see that's a possibility, but we do have the caution flag flying.
Lap 3.
As it is Michael Shaw and Matt Hunter, I can see caught up in that one. It looks like Michael Shaw's just gone down and got caught up with somebody there. So the 07 and... looks like Brent Hobbs, unfortunately. So Brent Hobbs and Michael Shaw getting caught up with each other. So it looks like Shaw's just got clipped into the side by Hobbs. Just a little bit of contact there. I think that was more from Aero Wash. Just caught Hobbs out. Just getting caught up with that one. And Shaw's, unfortunately, Michael Shaw's engine is donezo.
Yeah, just a little bit of right-hand rear corner there as well. So while we've got this caution, let's just go back and see if we can unpack that start a little bit more there.
Yeah, I'd say look at Jaden Russell, because he's the one that got most of the assault, but I think it may have been Jenny Budd in front of him, just maybe missing the gear or just not getting the accelerator right. So up the front here, you can see they're just sort of starting to form up a little bit. There's a bit of a gap forming up towards the front as well. They're sort of not quite bunched together how they should be. There's a little bit too much room there, and that can give you a bit of an overlap sometimes. But it did look a little bit like possibly Jenny Budd just might have just had a little bit of a moment at the start, maybe just missed the gear, didn't quite get it engaged properly, and then Jaden Russell just caught him very, very quickly. So
yeah, just slowed down a bit there.
Yeah, past his sign.
Oh no, it's in
he
front
just
of
got
him.
a little bit close.
It's in front of him.
So it's a little bit further up, so just got into the back, just had to check up a little bit in front of Stevie Dub, Michael Skurlock possibly. Might have been Skurley just having a little bit of a check-up as well, so it looked like everybody had a brief moment of checking up, and then you can see Daiso just spearing off behind. His truck was absolutely dead at that stage. Nothing he could do. It looked like maybe a tyre went or something like that. He just had an absolute moment there, and it just completely lost it on him.
We're trying to have a watch here from Michael Skurlock just to see what might have happened in front of him. Yeah, it's just that group's just slowed up and caught everyone out because the flag's gone green and they just haven't got going. So
bad moment for Ruben Phelps in pit lane. He's just, well, I would say bad moment. He's managed to make it work somehow. Just as a few drivers have come in, he's pitted at a rather awkward angle. He's sort of come in and he's sort of got a little bit caught up in pit road, I think.
Oh, wow.
And he's doing a very interesting pit stop there. So not the ideal way to have the truck facing. As they're going to just slowly spin him away. He'll just spin up those rear tyres to get it underway shortly. But yeah, that's an awkward position to be in. Luckily, the mechanics are still doing their job on it, so away they go. So a lot of cars coming in for pit stops, and a lot of them changing tyres as well this early on. So interesting to see that. Obviously, no limit on tyres for the trucks, so... I say obviously, but it's not that obvious sometimes.
I'm the obvious to
no
those,
limit on trucks for tyres, on tyres for trucks even. So they can get away with those extra tyres, but it's not going to make much difference after that fewer laps, especially here at Daytona. But a bit of fuel could definitely make a difference. Everybody from Justin Howe onwards has made a pit stop, so watch out for them. Looking at big gainers so far, Igor Burkic up 9 positions in P14. Christopher Finley 15 positions in 21st. Really good run for him. Riley Curtis up 12 positions in P28. Having an awkward time with cats apparently, Riley Curtis. So we'll find out more about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it is Jason Martin leading with Troy Davison next to him. So it's reasonably comfortable at the front and not too much damage out of this caution.
So Curtis, Maddie Ray, Schroeder, Finley and Dortnack all coming in just for a little top up before we go back to green here. So they're just getting a little bit of extra fuel in the tank just in case we have a nice long green period here. But they are forming up 2 by 2, getting ready to get on the arc. The trucks go forwards 2 by 2. We have got a lot of Chevrolets at the front with Jason Martin, Troy Davidson for the Sim Boys having a good run up there. Sim Boys, one of those teams we forgot to mention, but they have been superb on the super speedways as of late. Danny G in 4th, Luke Georgeson after dark up there in P4 at the moment. Brad Allison in 5th, Scotty Griffiths the first Toyota in 6th position with Luke Hare the second Toyota behind him with Aaron Dillon there as well. Quite a lot of fast trucks still out there just in the mid-pack, so watch how they go. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do in this race.
Yeah, plenty of work to be done, but of course plenty of time still to get there. 6 through 80. Just waiting for the pack to form up, heading down the last little bit of track before we do go green. Said it's going to be Jason Martin who takes it away. The pace truck pulls in. When will he go? Hopefully we get a cleaner restart now, and it goes green, but he is off. Jason Martin, he's got his teammate with him, Danny G, got a good start. Troy Davison missed the restart on that higher line, but it's not going to penalise him too much, as he's got Luke Georgeson behind him, Luke Trahere, and Josh Micklemore down on that low line with JCW as well. So that low line looking strong at the moment and moving up. Troy Davison's going to have to work together with Georgeson and those behind him to try and address that gap. Well, as you can see, the Mitch boys potentially trying to take over. Brad Allison, plenty of experience in behind both of them, so he'll know how he's going to manage his race. Josh Micklemore, their teammate, not too far back either, but he's got Luke Trahere to contend with before he gets anywhere up there. Looks like at this point in time that low line just working that little bit better. There's sort of 2 to 3 trucks now up in front. It's getting loose there for Danny G. I think as he grabbed just a little bit of the yellow line.
Yeah, he's just getting a little bit of wash behind his teammate there. These trucks, they follow quite well, but they do get a little bit tail happy, and you can just see there Scotty Griffiths just getting out there with Aaron Dillon. He just struggled a little bit to hold on to the back of Luke Georgeson there. Just struggling that little bit, those guys, and it is tricky, and you do need to get settled in as well. That's one of the other things in a super speedway race like this. It is really hard work, and you know, people, there is always that joke of well, it's not that hard, you're just turning left, but there is so much effort going on inside of these trucks. You're not just turning left, you're turning right as well to try and keep this thing turning left. You've got to turn right to turn left sometimes. It is very, very tricky. And you get a lot of the wash behind them, but it's also the thing of concentration. You've got trucks all the way around you, especially when you're down there in the, anywhere from fifth down. You can have trucks left, right, behind, in front. You're constantly having to keep an eye on them. Your spotter's telling you what's going on. You're listening to that. You're also having to keep an eye on what's happening in front of you, trying to keep an eye out for a big wreck. It is constant action, and it is really, really hard to keep concentration out there, let alone keep it going in a straight line when you're following this close.
Yeah, I was just trying to give you an idea as well. Like right on board now with Luke Trehare, and you can just see this is his view effectively out of the truck. So he's not going to know a lot about what's going on the right-hand side of him, and he basically just has a face full of spoiler. So there's
I'll give you an idea of what it's like. So effectively what you'd be hearing now is car on outside, car high, car high, still there, still there, still there, still there.
Yeah,
car
the whole
outside,
time, just with his spotter.
That's all you hear. And it almost had a clear spot there between himself and Scotty Griffiths, but there's just a little bit too much there. And sometimes the spotter will call car, it's clear on the outside because you've made it clear of the car that's currently out there, but then all of a sudden a new car will appear. Right now, for instance, he might get clear on the outside, but there is still a car there. And that's the trouble. Sometimes you just have to be extra careful and just keep a bit of an eye out for that kind of thing. Just looking back a little bit, Jaden Russell has got quite a bit of damage on the rear spoiler of that truck, so that could affect him come later in the race if he gets a good run. That may affect him in the cleaner air. Of course, you don't want to have any aero damage on these vehicles when you're running in the clean air, of course, because you do start to struggle. When you're sitting behind another truck and you've got another truck sitting behind you, it doesn't matter too much, but when you're in the clean air, you need to have a nice spiffy looking truck so things don't go wrong.
So this is where we just say it's about strategy here. It's about making sure you're positioned for those last sort of 10 laps for the run to the win. What makes these races so interesting as they develop. It is very much a game of chess. Where's your teammate? If you've got one, can you work with one? And how are you going to decide when to try and make a move if you're stuck back in the pack?
Yeah,
saw that Glenn's down like.
It's all about keeping out of trouble at this stage, and that's easier said than done sometimes. But you've also got to keep on the back of that pack. If you lose that pack, you are going to be in some serious trouble. At the moment, Dave Douglas and Matt Hunter are just sitting at the back of the pack. There are a few cars a bit spread out, and they're trying to form a second line at the moment. Can't really get much done out there. But they're sitting a little bit further away from the front, so if something does happen right at the front here, they've got the opportunity to ease off and maybe avoid that crash.
Yeah, you've definitely got to try and make it work with somebody. You can't, as you say, like if you fall off the back of this pack, as we're starting to get that natural spread now, sort of starting to break away. You can see it there just in this long shot. Got a core lead group now of around about 20 to 25 trucks, and then there is a gap. They've around about half a second. It starts around about P24 where things start to spread. So Ben Vickers there in the Lachlan Urquhart just starting to fall back as Igor Burkic is blinking as well. So that's not going to help, particularly on a track like this. So that spread's just starting to happen. Even just starting to see it here in the lead where you've got sort of that six-pack, top line, low line. That'll close back up though, but it's easy enough for it to happen, and once it breaks, you're working hard to get back up to it.
You are indeed, and if a car's blinking around you, it makes it even harder. Obviously, you know, when you're racing on the road, you can sometimes get away with a blinking car around you, but on an oval, it is very sketchy indeed. It's all a little bit of a moment there for Dwayne Priest. He just gets a little bit loose on the exit of turn number 1 and just almost tags Ben Vickers a little bit further down the field. But at the moment, they're trying to keep it steady as, Jason Martin almost moves up there. Very much check up. Josh Micklemore loses the back end. He's managed to save it somehow. Micklemore, quick hand saving that truck because that was almost a wreck.
Scotty Griffiths there taking the opportunity to just slot the number 5 down into that low line. Looks like, I think it might be, is it Todd Maxfield down in the back there? No, I don't think it was, but you can... sorry, it was Philip Howe just in the background there, just getting down a little low. But that gap opened up because of that checkup, and it meant that Scotty could get down into that low line where he preferred to be, so he moves down in front of Brad Allison, and is now running in the low.
Just goes to show the skill of the Pyro King, Josh Micklemore there, saving that truck, because many others would have lost that one. Really good job as... Oh, another truck just goes underneath the line. I think it was a lad's car, so... just trying to see who that was. May have been Jay Brazier. Up there, just getting a little bit loose, just went under the yellow line, but managed to save it, get it back up there. They're definitely looking a bit sketchy at the moment. These trucks are not liking to follow too closely, and they do get a little bit loose. She's a little bit loose in the first section of the corner, so as soon as you start going into turn one, effectively what happens is these trucks, they don't have a huge amount of downforce, obviously. They're not like a Formula 1 car with those massive wings, but they do have downforce at the front and the back. When you go into those corners, when you're following another truck, effectively you don't have that downforce. So you're going in there and you're relying on mechanical grip, and it can be very tricky sometimes. That's why you see them getting very loose. The other thing those drivers are doing is keeping the truck cool, because you can't stay behind another truck all race long.
Sorry, 3 wide there. Justin out, just smack bang in the middle. Talk about nervy. You're going to have information about both sides of the truck there. Just see how close it is. He's just trying to get up into the top line again. I don't think he's able to, though.
He's got Philip Howe on the outside, and a little bit of contact between himself and Igor Burkic, I think it was. Philip Howe just having to back out of that one. He does the discretion, the better part of valor there, just eases off a little bit, so not a big accident. Good job by those drivers to make that one not into a huge crash.
So easily gone a different way. 3 wide. Not at these speeds. No chance.
Motorsport is always a roll of the dice. You never know how it's going to go, and sometimes it will come up good, sometimes it will come up bad. You just have to go with it sometimes. Unfortunately, even the most skilled drivers in the world will have moments where if a car's having a bit of a moment in front of them, there's not much they can do other than crash.
It's very like you're in despair. The only choice you've got is to crash the car. But I know what you mean. Sometimes you've got nowhere to go. Sometimes you've got nowhere to go.
That's it. You just have to close your eyes and think of Britain, really.
Innocent bystander in somebody else's incident. So the other thing to consider here as well is heat. Travelling in the pack can get those temperatures elevated. That's going to be a factor a little bit later on. And of course is fuel consumption as far as Jason Martin is concerned and Troy Davison is concerned, and that's where having a teammate behind you can help. But at the moment there's no chance they're going to be able to do anything to manage this race other than doing exactly what they're doing right now. Well, you say that. Aaron Dillon's relatively close to Troy Davison at the moment. He's just got Luke Georgeson between him, so he's got an after dark car between himself and his teammate. Meanwhile, Mitch Motorsport have got 2 cars up at the front, with Scotty Griffiths just behind there in the SRM machine. And we do know that, Synergy. The Synergy SS. We do know that Synergy do kind of they know Mitch Motorsport. They know them and do not complete partnering up with them, but they are friends with each other. Not friendly. Too far off is Josh Micklemore. He's relatively close to the back of this pack as well. So you might see a little bit of shuffling going on. You might see Mitch trying to shuffle their cars around a little bit just to get that fuel consumption to last a little bit longer. We're running on lap 20 of 60 at the moment. That means they've probably got about 34 laps of fuel left in them. So that portion period. So you'll probably see Jason Martin, Josh Micklemore, Danny G all coming together, possibly Scotty Griffiths coming in with them as well, probably about lap 32, 33, and they'll all come in together so that way they can leave and actually form a bit of a pack so they don't lose too much time.
because that's one of the key features, of course. If you've got teammates that can pit with you, especially if you've got more than 3 or 4 people that will pit with you, that can really be a lifesaver, because then you can start a train up, you can run a nice clean little pack with each other and actually start sort of not losing time to the main pack.
Yeah, exactly. There's big challenge, isn't it, coming out of pit lane here, so it would be beneficial, but sometimes not always possible, so
just have to hope that you just have to hope that your teammates don't go speeding in pit lane and get a penalty for that. We've seen that be the undoing of Mitch Motorsport before at a super speedway. I believe it was Hamish Gallagher who just got done for speeding, and I think it was Josh Micklemore as well in the same race. They both got done at the same night, and that really destroyed him. Oh, there's a crash! We've got Dwayne Priest around in the background with Igor Berkik, I think.
Yeah, Igor Berkik went around there as well. That has not triggered the safety car. It might now. As Priest gets sideways. His truck is toast.
Unfortunately, Aaron Hayden got a little bit caught up with that one as well. Just a little bit of damage on the front. So just going back to have a bit of a look at that, it looks like Berkik's just gone up into Priest, and that has spun them around. And then, unfortunately, Aaron Hayden had nowhere to go for the after duck. We know that they're a bit of a fan favourite. But no real major damage, just a little bit of damage to the front. Should be relatively okay, but no caution. That's the important thing. And it's caused a little bit of kerfuffle at the front. There's a wee bit of shuffling going up at front, but still no yellow out. And we've got some free wide racing going on just at the back of the pack with Justin Howe, Jay Brazier, and I think it might be Stevie Williams.
Yeah, it is Stevie Williams involved in that as well. Evening, Trev. Like it. How do you make a small fortune out of motorsport? You start with the big one. That's absolutely true. Cubic dollars, it was described to me before I got into it. I thought, yep, well, that's fine.
Well, unless your name's Roger Penske, it's very hard to make money in motorsport.
There's a few who do. Jaden Russell just blinking away there. That won't be a fan favourite at all. He's got Jay Brazier behind him. He'll be nervous. Stevie Dub there in the background as well. So we've certainly got those packs that are broken up now. You can see it there. There's a good gap. I think it goes back then to Lachlan Urko. No, Lachlan Urko, my apologies, is already there. So it must be Mirko Dortnak, who's got the Aussie Esports team behind him, who are running in a trio. That's a good place for them to be at the moment. Won't be as high up as they want, but Schulte up 12 spots. The good news is they're all together, so that green flag pitting that you were talking about, Carl, and stuff like that earlier on, they're in not a bad spot. It's only 25 out of 80 on the lead lap, just a little bit off the pack, and able to work together.
Remember, those guys did stop, so they've got a bit more fuel on board. They can go a bit longer.
True.
At the moment, Jason Martin will have been cursing the fact that there wasn't a caution, because that would have worked out perfectly for them to come in and get a nice tank of fuel to help them out a little bit. Aaron Hayden has come into pit lane, and I think he might be just needing repairs done, unfortunately, to the front of that truck, just because the damage might be a little bit too much. So a real big shame there. That could be costly for his night. And we'll go down a lap for sure, may even go down 2 laps here tonight. And could get back into it, of course, if there's a cautions falling his way. You never know, cautions can fall your way. But unfortunately, it does come out on the back of the pack, so might be able to just keep his eye up there. Aaron Dillon just gets up and just glances the wall, just a glancing blow there. Manages to save the truck, keep it going in the right direction, but that was very, very close.
Yeah.
So just in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment, as they're all starting to try and think about the strategy now. Of course, the problem comes on the outside. If you start running a bit low on fuel, it gets very hard to get down into pit lane. So you need to start thinking about shuffling your way to that low line.
Yeah, absolutely. You can easily get locked out. So got to make sure that you get yourself set up for that. We saw earlier on how hard it was for Scotty Griffiths just to slot down into that low line. So as we're 3 wide again, Stevie Dubb right up in a third lane, and it looks like Jaden Russell just there in front of him. It looks like he's trying to form a third line, get around Russell, maybe thinking that Russell's holding him up. Oh, as he goes into him, he's tapped Skirley. Oh, they've managed to hold on to it. No.
Jane Russell is around, and that's a big one. Stevie Dubb caught up in that one, as well as Lachlan Urquio. A lot of trucks getting caught up in that one. That was a big accident. I think Norman Clark may have been really heavily damaged in that one as well. Huge damage.
Matty Ray involved as well. You just see it there. Again, one of those situations, Carl, that you were talking about before. He might have found out that he was all clear. So we go back and have a look at it here. Yeah, I reckon that might be the case, because it's just that corner getting tapped by Stevie Dubb, and then the rest is history.
What happened there?
Jump out and have a look at it from the top view here. You can just see Stevie Dubb and he get into one another. It was only for the smallest of overlaps, so I don't know if Russell thought he was clear and was just trying to move back down into that line. He just ended up catching.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, and you have to wonder, with Jaden Russell having that the internet issues, that might have been something to do with it as well, unfortunately. A bit of an odd one for Michael Schroeder as well. He just, I think he just caught the apron a little bit and spun it up and trying to figure out what happened, or he had some kind of issue, because he just spun it up the track and then went into poor Maddie Ray and Maddie Hunter. So those two got caught up in a separate incident, not caught up in the main one. They had slowed right down just to avoid that main incident, but got caught up with something else. So a couple of interesting ones, but this is going to mean everybody's going to come filing into pit lane, I'd say. Come and get some fresh tyres, a bit of fuel on board, and get ready for this next section of race. They can't make it to the end from here, but they can make it to one more stop. So there's going to be a few drivers, they might try and stick it out a little bit and see what they can do. There might be a few drivers taking a little bit of a gamble on no tyres taken, just taking fuel and things like that. And I think there might be a few drivers that might have missed their box as well. Got a feeling that might be Jay Brazer just missing his box. So that's the reason he's in the lead at the moment.
Yeah, because he did transit through pit lane, so Jay Brazier there just missing out. He'll have to come in this time around. He got lucky in that incident. He sort of got pushed out the way and ran down, but didn't end up copying too much damage in the Deadpool livery there. That's a fantastic looking truck. But he got lucky, so he's going to live to fight another day. It will be Jason Martin and Danny G in the lead of this race, or Jason Martin. You can't have two leaders, Stu, you know that. They will be at the front on the restart.
You can in multi-class racing.
Well, this is true, but of course this is not multi-class racing, Carl.
All right, so your brain has already moved on to tomorrow night. That's what it is.
Oh, it must be. Yes, of course. We've got the Oz Pro Am Sim Series on tomorrow night. That must be it. Thank you. But, here he comes into pit lane. He'll do service now. We've spoken about it before, of course, how difficult it can be under caution as well, when you've got some 40 trucks piling into pit lane to find your slot and get in there. So we've seen a number of drivers miss it in the past, and I'm sure we'll see plenty do it again in the future.
Honestly, if advice for people that are new to racing, if they're jumping in sort of early in their careers into truck racing, especially when you've got a 40-odd plus field when you're racing out there in a caution period like that, sometimes it's worth sticking it out an extra lap and coming in the lap later. Pit lane's still open. You get to lead a lap. You don't get the point, but you do get to lead a lap, which is always a nice feeling. But you get to pit in a nice clean pit lane, so you don't miss your pit box, and you can avoid a lot of carnage that way as well. You might lose a few positions out of it, but if you're running towards the back of the pack, it tends to work out quite well, and it gives you an extra couple of milliliters of fuel as well to the end of the race. So it's never a bad idea to come in a little bit later, because sometimes that can end up paying you back.
Yes, indeed. Certainly the case. Just in a holding pattern here.
Not that I'm, the greatest person to listen to for advice, but I've been doing it for a little bit of time, and from my experience, I generally find that's quite a good little option of doing it. Of course, if you are running in a decent position, then it is worth battling it away and trying out. Oh, his JCW might have a disconnection issue here, unfortunately. JCW just vanishing from the screen, unfortunately. It looks like he may have had a bit of a technical failure. Hopefully he gets back as we go back to green.
Immediately the drivers start to jostle to get down into that low line. Allison has done so Scotty G. Luke Trahare trying to slide his way down in there. Looks like he's got it done as well. So it's going to leave some of those drivers on the high line a little bit high and dry as the gap opens immediately. The Mitch Motorsport boys, Brad Allison, Troy Davison, Scotty Griffiths on that low line start to move away. They've closed up the gap now. Troy Davison, Aaron Dillon and Mickey Skurlock on that high line. So got a little bit of work to do here. Ben Vickers tries to close up on the back of that to join that high pack.
They need a couple more trucks on the outside to make it work completely, and I might throw my hat in the ring and say Josh Mickelmore might be the one to possibly think about joining up with them if a little bit of a gap appears, and there he goes, straight up between himself, Skirley and Vickers. Almost like I could see that one coming. Mickelmore just jumping up into the high line to try and get himself slotted up a little bit further in the field. He's going to want to try and link up with his teammates.
Yeah, absolutely a good move there. No surprise at all that you picked it, Carl, because it'll help him be able to manage that high line better as well if he's there in the front of it. So it'll be part of his plan. It'll be difficult to make the move to get up there though at the moment, but you never know.
Don't know until we give it a bit of a try. The Aussie cars are running quite well at the moment. Aidan Schultz in the lead of that pack with Tristan Koch and Ruben Phelps. Of course, Tristan Koch, the newest entrant into that team. It's good to see them growing. Those absolutely beautiful liveried cars done by Mr. Ruben Phelps himself. One of my favourite liveries out there. There's a few, of course, but definitely as original liveries go, they have got a fantastic job and a really nice team branding as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said a little bit earlier before the caution, they were in a good spot. They still are running 3 in a train, so they are going to be able to exploit that as the race continues. Still got 30, what have we got there? Sorry,
47 laps.
47 laps to go. Math failing me at 8:45 on a Monday night.
Well, it is on Monday, as the great Garfield once said, we do hate Mondays.
Yes, except for this time of night. What's going on here with ANZCAR, of course. The truck series. So, this is that period of the race. I mean, obviously we've just had a caution, but that doesn't necessarily help. It's starting to get to that period of the race where the drivers will be getting a little bit tired. There's 120% concentration around this place. It's a 3 wide again in the background there.
That's very much the thing. Fatigue is a big thing that comes into play, and of course a lot of these drivers use direct drive wheels. There's a lot of force feedback on the wheels. They tend to turn it down a little bit, so you're not wrestling the truck constantly, but you still have force on your arms, and it is something that that does actually do a bit of exercise for you. It is a form of exercise, but it does add that little bit more tension to your muscles, and obviously you tend to stress up a little bit as well in these situations. It's just a natural reaction, but it does not it does not feel comfortable for a long run. You do tend to get a little bit tired, and those drivers that just came off of doing the Bathurst race, they're going to be pretty tired from that one as well. So Dave Douglas going 3 wide further back with I think Maddie Hunter manages to just slot it in. That was really, really close there.
I just noticed as well that in the shuffling, the Sim Boys have got themselves together. So high line's controlled by Sim Boys and the low line by Mitch Motorsport.
Well, we say by Mitch Motorsport, there's a couple of little flies in the ointment, and that is Brad Allison having a really good return here at the moment, having a really nice, strong run up there. Very, very nice to see Brad back there as well. Scotty Griffiths as well, just sitting up there in a nice position. As we said, you know, friends with the Mitch Motorsport team, and of course the lone wonder himself, the Lone Ranger, so to say, is out there, Mr. Mickey Skurlock, with his, should we say Tonto, Luke Trahair, two lone drivers with Nightcall Racing with Luke Trahair, though. A little bit of a moment just behind him as, I think it might have been Luke Georgeson just having a little bit of a tank slapper, just across the tri-oval. Just got caught up with the 29 of Chris Lifberg. So Chris Lifberg just getting a little bit caught up there, just coming down a little bit. No, Luke Georgeson going up a little bit in the tri-oval, just maybe not seeing him there. And Chris Lifberg just getting caught up in that, again, very fantastic liveried truck of the 19 with that wonderful log pack on the back, but that's caused a bit of damage and really dropped him off the back of the battle.
Yeah, we'll be hoping for a caution to close that one up for him. So
Jason Martin just possibly looking at the high line for a couple of moments there, just stopping that move from Troy Davidson, cutting off their momentum a little bit. So Jason Martin at the moment controlling the front of the field. He does not want that high line getting past, and he does not want two Sim Boys slotting in front of him at the moment. So Jason Martin trying to control the field at the moment with Danny G just behind him.
I think Luke Georgeson just moved up into that high line as well to join that train, so it continues to grow as Micklemore forces his way down in front of Luke Trahair. So he's now back in the low line. Obviously deciding it's preferential for where his race is at the moment.
Deciding that was a slightly better spot for him at the moment. He didn't make up any positions though.
No.
Strangely for Micklemore, I expected to see him maybe making up a couple of spots. He didn't manage to do it. He's still behind Scotty Griffiths. So at the moment, Jason Martin has got the lead thoroughly locked on and locked in. And speaking of locked on, of course, you can catch the highlights of the race in podcast form if you can't see the races live. You can catch the results on Locked On iRacing. Locked On Lads, of course, Locked On iRacing. Good place to catch up all the results, and you can catch OzPass and the ANZCAR action there. All the results from those two series. And of course, we do have the highlights packages as well if you're a little bit short on time on YouTube for FGM eCast, Ferguson Group Media.
Yeah, absolutely. Try and cover it all off for you. So far, this one's been pretty straightforward though, as we're over the halfway mark now in the race. So
we are. It's a bit typical sort of Daytona. We've lost everybody from about 34th down, unfortunately. Stevie Dubb out of this race. Well, still in repairs, but a lot of trucks out of this one, sadly. I think Lachlan Oakio and Norman Clark are both out there just trying to make up a few positions, but Lachlan Oakio definitely down on speed currently. He's running at about 240 kilometers per hour. He's about to get the lead pack coming right up behind him. Lachlan Oakio is going to be very, very tricky here. He's going to keep right up on the high side here as the pack are just going to go streaming past him, and they're going to go down underneath Lachlan Oakio there as they go free wide into the first corner, but you can see the speed difference there. 288 kilometers per hour versus 230 kilometers per hour. It is a very different game.
yeah, and just trying to manage the way past the slower cars. You've got to be very, very mindful of the speed differential, particularly when they're trying to get up out of pit lane. So well managed there from this group. It's the Mitch Motorsport boys. They're just edge up. It's a little bit loose in that high line. See there as well, Danny G just struggling with a little bit of the wash.
I think Danny G is also just having to get a little bit of fresh air into that truck as well, just to try and cool it down a little bit. Of course, Daytona not known for its cool air. I mean, it's 22 degrees at the moment, so it's not too hot, but it is a little bit warm out there still, and that does not help it. They would much rather a nice, cool, chilly, 10 degrees air temperature with a nice warmer track temperature, just to help those engines from overheating a little bit. But that low line is starting to pull out a bit of a gap right here. I think the high line is just dropping back a little bit to try and get somebody in front of them. You can see Troy Davidson almost luring Brad Allison up in front of him to try and get somebody to fall up in front to give him a little bit of blockage to help with his fuel numbers a little tiny bit, but nobody taking the bait there, and that high line once again moves up so not to lose too much pace off of the leaders as they are just getting past. Oh, Aaron Hayden there just up on the high line, and Aaron Dillon just getting very close. Oh, Skirley's round! Big accident! It's going to be a huge one. Michael Skurlock gets turned, and the trucks are in carnage. Half the field there taken out.
Oh, gee whiz. It's the 93 Riley Curtis does a ripping job to just pull the truck up before running into Skirley. And those two there, Scotty Griffiths and Michael Skurlock, they are toast.
Yeah, Luke Georgeson just giving Skirley a little bit of a tap, I think. And unfortunately, Scotty Griffiths just got T-boned in the side. Josh Micklemore, he might have been quite lucky with that one. I didn't see how the rest of that one went, but he got pretty much caught up in it, but managed to somewhat avoid most of the damage. Same with Luke Trahair. They've got some damage on them, but it could have been much worse.
Yeah, there was plenty involved in this. Just looking at it off the bonnet of Mickey Skurlock here. Must have done a 1080 or so, but the Castrol 350 has concluded its evening. As you can just see there, Riley Curtis just doing a great job of getting past Skurlock there to put everything on to make it happen, though. So that is a very sad looking 350.
It's that thing will be, well, I imagine it will be leaking a couple of vital fluids, unfortunately. Obviously, the national vegetable of Wales is the leek, and I think Skirley is leaking at the moment.
Oh dear me, an amazing connection to Wales there, Carl. Well done. So now, interesting scenario for everyone here. Does that get them far enough through to manage with this as the last stop?
Yes and no. If you're the leader, no. If you're sitting about fifth in the pack, possibly. We are very much on the bubble right here, so it is on the cusp of making it. We are bang on the point where they are right on the cusp of being able to make it for fuel. Once again, as much as we try not to have fuel-saving races in ANZCAR, we've got a fuel-saving race coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Unless we get another caution, if we get another couple of cautions, that will help them to the end. But at the moment, as it stands, we have very much got a fuel-saving race.
Well, only time will tell. So Jason Martin might not be in such a hurry to get back up to the front, you reckon?
Yeah, I think Jason's going to be... Well, he's going to want to lead it away, but he's going to be hoping for a caution at the end, or somebody he can just possibly slip behind for a little bit just to save a little bit of fuel. It's going to be close for those guys up the front. The top four will be in trouble for fuel saving. Behind them, they might be in a good position. So watch out for people like Josh Micklemore, Luke Trahair. I mean, Luke Trahair's got some damage to that truck, same as Josh Micklemore. But they might be in a little spot where they could get something done here. There's a few that could be having a little bit of an outside shout tonight.
Yeah, a little bit of damage to the back wing as well. With Trahair, so...
Martin doing the little dummy down the pit lane. But honestly, pitting again right now would not be a bad thing. Just getting that extra little bit of pit fuel in there could be the difference between winning this race and losing it at the moment. Matt Hunter coming into pit lane, same as Michael Schroeder. So honestly, even though it would mean losing a bit of track position, pitting now just for that extra couple of millilitres of fuel might not be a terrible idea.
Yes, the thing is, it's so difficult to pass here. But there's the wager of whether or not you can get through versus the benefit of the bit of fuel.
Indeed. So Stuart, I think it's time I ask you a question.
I was waiting for this.
So, there is a company that have their headquarters overlooking Daytona circuit, and but we were talking about the famous game earlier on, of course. We were talking about the absolutely mega arcade edition of Daytona USA.
Yep.
And of course, the company that made it was Sega, obviously. But who co-developed it? Which American company co-developed it that have their headquarters based right outside of Daytona, almost overlooking it? You may ask for a clue if you like.
I'll have to, Carl, because I've got no idea.
They work in the aerospace industry as well as electronics.
Yep.
As we're about to go back to green here, this will give the crowd a little bit of time to Google away. We get underway. Luke Georgeson is going to be leading us away with this one out front, but Jason Martin quickly gobbles him up, gets in front of that damaged after dark car. He's going to sit on that low line. Jason Martin leads away. Danny G just sitting in behind him, just slots into second place now on the low line. Meanwhile, the high line has got Troy Davidson in front with Aaron Dillon, Luke Trahere and Josh Mickelmore sitting there. Watch out for Brad Allison. Brad Allison's got a relatively clean looking truck at the moment and is sitting in a prime spot.
Yeah, he does indeed. So, Finnish Motorsport boys have resumed where they left off, and that high line again. Just having to work hard. Josh McMahon trying to give that one another go to see if that is where he can make his way up to his teammates currently running up at the front. Got some work to do though. Said it's difficult to pass. He's trying to, I don't know if he's trying to move there or just got the aero wash. He's trying to move back down into that low line. Now he is indeed, and I think he's got it done there. So just slots in behind Gary Wellman in the 45 Simboys entry, so it would have been a nice swap for him there, but Trahere just stuck up there as well in that top line, trying to work with the Simboys to get back up into the front. Of course, Trahere qualifying fourth for tonight's race. But how in control do these Mitch Motorsport boys look?
The worst place to be at the moment is leading this race. You just want to be sort of sitting third or fourth at the moment, because that's going to be helping to save the fuel a little bit, because at the moment it's very touch and go on the old fuel, and if you're sitting a little bit further back in the pack, you're just going to be rubbing your hands with glee, because the longer this race goes, if we get green to the end, this could work out perfectly for those guys sitting behind them. Watch out for Gary Wellman. We've seen Wellman do it in the past. He's up 23 positions at the moment. We're talking about Simboys and Super Speedways. And Gary Wellman, remember last time we had a fuel race and it was a super speedway? Well, Gary Wellman was the one to watch. He's the one that took it out. So could Gary Wellman pull it again? Aidan Schultz up 26 positions at the moment. Biggest gainer as it stands in P11. Again, sitting in a good spot.
Yeah, indeed. He's still got his teammates around him as well. So, as we said earlier on, the Aussie boys in a good spot here, just biding their time and progressing up the field. 26 positions, biggest mover of the night so far, so fantastic effort. But a few teams at the front here, so it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to run their race at the end of the evening.
Few trucks out there that are going to be not finishing this race, unfortunately, trying to make it to the end, but the damage is just too much. I think they're just They're just overheating and they're just trying to limp it home for championship points at the moment, but they are going to be struggling. It becomes a different kind of racing when you're limping it home. We've only got 20 trucks on the lead lap now. We've gone from 43 down to probably around about 30 odd trucks left in this race.
So, Carl, I've been trying to rack my brain about who it is who co-authored or co-produced Daytona, and because I've only seen it at the arcade, I've never really paid much attention to it, to be brutally honest.
Right, so it was General Electric Aerospace Engineering, GE. They got their headquarters just outside of Daytona, the Daytona circuit, and they actually were making their own arcade cabinet with a racing game. They originally had they were basically testing out they effectively built a Daytona course, and they were running Formula One cars on it back in the day. And then Sega were sort of developing their own series, and sort of they both found each other and worked with each other, and then all of a sudden we got Daytona USA coming out of it, and we got a classic.
There you go, very interesting indeed.
Yeah, and hashtag no Google for that one. That's a pure random knowledge fact, that one, from myself.
Yeah, no, I had absolutely zero clue.
Part of my obscure history knowledge, which it does have a vast range of obscure history knowledge, thankfully, but not always useful.
Brad Allison there just looking to stretch a little bit. Maybe to get up into the front of that higher line. Necessarily the place to be at the moment.
I think Allison's just trying to keep his truck cool at the moment. He's not pushing too hard, because Allison's in a prime position at the moment. If we run green to the end, I think you're going to see Jason Martin struggle for fuel. He's going to have to do a little bit of lifting and coasting, something like that, but you can't do that at the front of the field. You can't do that where he's sitting. Same with Danny G. He can actually lift off a little bit more, but not as much as Brad Allison. Brad Allison at the moment in the 0-3 is looking very, very good. Same as Gary Wellman in the 45. They're probably... If we've got to make a pick, if we're going to go green to the end, they're probably my picks at the moment.
There's Norm Clark and Lachlan Urquio just on the high side there. Just going past them.
You can see the speed difference there, running up at the front, 296, 297 kilometers per hour for Jason Martin. Meanwhile, Lachlan Urquio is tapping out at around about 260, possibly 270 at the very most. But that's about the most you can get out of that truck. He's trying to work with Norman Clark to try and at least keep that thing going. But at the moment, they're just trying to keep it out there just in case there's another big wreck, so they can get a few points scored.
Okay, Dortnack up into P11 as well.
Oh, bit of contact at the back there between, I think it was Jamie Budd and possibly Luke Georgeson. No, sorry, it was Aaron. No, it was Luke Georgeson. Jamie Budd up there, just calling out to everybody to let them know that there was a slow car up on the high line. Luke Georgeson getting caught out by that one.
Got really, really close there with Aaron Dillon, and
Philip Howe just got into Mick Taylor, I think it was. They managed to save it, just managed to keep those straight. Mick Taylor somehow saving that truck. Great job there from the SRM driver to keep that one pointing in the right direction, because he was about to go spearing off into the wall, but that's broken up that bit of pack a little bit. So towards the back of the pack, that has broken things up a little bit. Meanwhile, at the front, there is a little bit of dicing going on. Aaron Dillon might be looking to get ahead of Troy Davidson here, and might not be a bad idea to just slot those cars around if they can actually make it work, because Troy Davidson will be looking a little bit dicey on fuel numbers, I'd say.
Yeah, they're sort of starting to jostle three wide as well, just a little bit further back.
Oh, you just see there the Auxier cars. I don't know if I got it on stream, but The Aussie boys just moving out of line a little bit just to connect up with all three of their trucks. So they're just sliding into a position with 24 laps remaining to try and make it so they've got a little bit of a run with each other. So watch them work their way up the pack a little bit later in this run once things break up a little bit. Meanwhile, Cade Donnelly and Justin Howe just getting close to each other. There's a few little moments out there. The Aussie cars are starting to work their way up now. They're starting to try and force their way up. They're just catching up to the back of Ben Vickers. And they're going to try and get past Howe and Cade Donnelly. If they can actually manage to clear those trucks, they might get into a spot. But look at the run Dornak's getting. Look at Mirko Dornak just absolutely launching that truck through the middle of that pack. Mirko just absolutely flying his way through the field there. And working his way up towards the front end of the grid.
I'm not sure what happened there. Martin and Danny G just checked up a little bit. Let the Troy Davison-led Highline with only 3 trucks in it at that point in time. Just get right up on them. So
Mirko Dornak just threaded the needle at almost 290 kilometers per hour, just managing to go from, I think, about P18 up to P9. So that was a great run from Dornak. He just absolutely caught the rest of the pack napping.
Ben Vickers is behind Josh Mickelmore at the moment, and then behind him the Aussie guys as well. So, who was that?
The Howes have got together. Philip and Justin Howe just getting a big bit of contact.
So he just dropped down there. It looks like he clipped the wall and then just came back down.
Yeah, Justin Howe just went up into the wall, and then Philip Howe got into the back of him, unfortunately. So
done for speeding in pit lane there as well, I reckon. So that is not going to end all that well.
And a few drivers will be getting close to the incident point limit as well. That's one of the other things. They have an incident point limit in ANZCAR. 12 gets you a drive-through, 17 gets you a disqualification. So you do have to watch out for that one. So I think a few drivers have gotten the 12Xs on their trucks already and have had to serve a drive-through penalty. With a race like this where there's been quite a few little bits of contact, it's easy for it to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say it's easy to get there. Doesn't take much though, does it?
No, unfortunately, it's quite easy to happen.
Couple of not at faults. You're almost there.
Just looking quickly through the field and just in the infield care centre, we've got Chris Lithberg, so I might just grab him up and just have a quick say hello, see how he's going, make sure he's all okay after those incidences. Chris Lithberg, welcome to the broadcast booth. Unfortunately here during the race, unfortunate evening for yourself.
Yeah, no, it's not a great one so far. It's going really well up until the middle of the race.
And then you got caught out in that big accident, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I just got sort of drifted up into, and yeah, that was the end of it. Lost all my pace, and night ended.
Big shame there. I mean, you've been having some relatively good results this season. I mean, obviously wanting to be running up a bit higher, I'm sure, but felt like you had some good pace tonight, at least.
Yeah, I certainly felt so. This is actually only my second race of the season, because for the first half of it, my computer was down. So, quite positive so far, though. And, yeah, hoping for better to push up a bit more in the next few.
Well, we look forward to having you back. Absolutely love the paint job on that truck as well. It's been a bit of a fan favourite. Look, hopefully, better luck next time, and hopefully we'll have you back up here in the booth with better circumstances.
No problems, mate. Thanks for that, and have a good night.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
So, unfortunate there.
I was just had to be a few drivers with similar stories out of tonight. It's a place that bites hard, as we've got 19 to go here. There's still not too many changes at the front, but this pack is thinning, and thinning rapidly, so I don't fancy the chances of the ANZCAR boys here as well to get a run on. So I reckon the fight up the front's going to get really interesting. Question is when.
Well, as we said, fuel might be a big thing at play here tonight, and if those drivers up the front start to cough and splutter a little bit, it could be a chance for ANZCAR to get a good run.
Start to see the car's getting a little bit, the truck's getting a little bit loose, a little bit floaty. As the weight comes out of them.
Yeah, they're starting to move around that track a little bit more than they want to at the moment, and that's where it can get a little bit tricky. And as you said, the big thing at the moment is fatigue setting in. I mean, these drivers tend to drive quite a lot. They're racing most nights of the week. They're not slackers like us, Stuart, who don't get to get in the car too often, unfortunately, because we're too busy broadcasting. Yeah, it does take it out of you, especially if you haven't driven for a bit of time, because you're not racing fit, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely about time in the sim. Like it is anything, practice makes improvements to the way you get around it, and the ability to concentrate for a long period of time, lap after lap after lap, at such an intense level of scrutiny from the drivers around you is something you can only get from actually running races like this. So, how close they're running together there. And you can see that just small little corrections the whole time with the driver just means that you never really get to switch off for a second or two and have a little bit of a break. Even down the straight here.
Yeah, the thing is with an oval racing car is even down a straight, you're turning that wheel because that thing does not point straight in a straight line. Of course, asymmetrical setup on these vehicles, because of the actual banking, it's one of those things that you sort of, well, I mean, that's why you need chicanes, and you can't have the sort of like the Rovals and Indianapolis race course and stuff like that. You can't have the full straightaways, and you can't have the constant ovals and stuff like that with the road racing section, because the road racing cars just can't handle it, because the banking puts so much pressure on the car. Unless it's set up absolutely perfectly, it will cause issue with the tyres and cause blowouts. That's what we saw back in 2005 at Indianapolis with the Formula One, of course, and back in the old days with sports cars as well. They would blow their tyres on the banking because they just could not manage to cope around the stress and the G-force as you're going around. The centrifugal force pushes the car down. Of course, the main reason that there is banking on these corners, that you do have ovals like that, is because of that centrifugal force to keep the car on the track. That's what it was made for. That's why those tracks have such high banking, is to keep the car stuck down, because you didn't have downforce back in the day.
No, that's it. So I'd forgotten about that. I do remember watching it live, actually, that race you talk about with Formula One. But, easily you forget. We've still got just 4 trucks in that high line. As I say that, Kate Donnelly jumps up in there behind Mirko Dortnak, trying to jump in with his team. So fuel is an issue that could potentially rear its head here. We've got teams who are able to run together at the front as well. So this one's nicely poised for the finish. I wonder when those ANZCAR boys might jump up and try and jump into that high line to see if that can help them out. If they can get back up onto the back of it. It's a gamble though.
The pack is coming back onto the little mini pack of absolutely broken cars of Lachlan Urquio, Norman Clark and Scotty Griffiths. Those 3 are running in a pack formation, but running about 50 kilometers per hour slower than the leaders at the moment. They're trying to make it round still. Of course, championship points are still vitally important, and it might not be a great finish all in all, but it might just snag you a couple of extra points. It might get you somewhere better in the championship, and that's what you've got to do in championships. You just have to slug it out and sometimes take the pain of these races where things have gone a bit wrong.
Yeah, particularly if somebody else who is above you doesn't finish, every point will count.
Dave Douglas working his way through the field as well, up 22 positions now. So Dave is starting to sliver his way through the pack. The Big D himself is starting to slide his way up the pack and into a good position.
It was just on the back of the low line here. So just jogging on the spot. Catch the temperature there on the dash, but not able to quite see that one.
No, unfortunately, a couple of cars that are going to be looking in their mirrors and seeing that big pack coming up as Christopher Finlay, Michael Schroeder and Riley Curtis. They've dropped off the main pack. They're currently just getting across the start-finish line, but they will be seeing the main pack shortly coming around the field. So they're getting caught up to, of course, there's only 11 laps remaining. So they might be able to just make it on the lead lap, but it's going to be touch and go for them. Danny G just moving down just to get a little bit of fresh air on that truck at the moment, the orange Mitch Motorsport car. See Brad Allison just sitting there nicely in third on the bottom line. Troy Davidson just on that outside with his teammate Aaron Dillon just behind him. Luke Trahair third in line there, and they're desperately trying to get Gary Wellman up there to try and help him out. They got Cade Donnelly up there. Mirko Dortnak is the fly in their ointment at the moment, just stopping them from forming up. As you say, the teams are trying to form up into some sort of battle pack that they can get working. Right now, the Aussier boys have started to go on the high line, so they're going to start to look at making their charge as we've only got 10 laps to go. So this is the point where you need to start actually doing your moves and start working your way up through the pack. So watch out for Aussier, see what they can do from here, see if they can actually manage to break away, get a third line going and possibly work their way up a little bit higher, see if they can sliver their way up through the pack and sneak into a decent position. Watch out for somebody like Dave Douglas. We know he can be quick on those final laps. Gary Wellman as well, is he been saving that fuel? Brad Allison, will he be the one in the right position at the right time? Will we see Jason Martin have a little bit of a cough on that last lap? It's going to be down to the wire here tonight.
Yeah, most definitely it is. Let's see, it didn't quite work for the Aussier boys. They tried to get up into that high line, sort of broke them up. So they decided to jump back down into the low line again, reform. Will they potentially have another go? I think they really need Matty Hunter to probably go with them to get them up onto the back of that high line at the least. Potentially as well. I'm not sure who that is. One of the... I see who that is actually. Anyway, I'm sure we'll work it out in a minute.
Just in front of Matty Hunter is Mick Taylor.
That's Mick Taylor, thank you. Yeah, he's actually out of position.
He is, yeah, he's a lap down.
Wildly out of position.
So he's a lap down, but he's keeping in that pack, and importantly, he's trying to keep the car, be the one on the lead lap. Cade Donnelly is also out of position. He's a lap down too. So they're both a lap down. They're going to hope for a caution as we've got 8 laps remaining. That's 32 kilometres left of this racetrack to go. 32 kilometres, it sounds like a large distance, but it will be gobbled up quickly in these vehicles.
Yeah, it goes by pretty quickly when you're doing 290 clicks, funnily enough.
Look, Troy Davidson just trying to slot up in the front there. He's trying to slot up in front of Jason Martin, maybe, just to help his teammate Aaron Dillon out here. This could be a good run from Simboys. If they can slot down in front of Jason Martin, they could possibly do a little bit of controlling and control that high line a little bit, possibly get Gary Wellman up there as well. But they've got to try and slot Troy Davidson up into the front of the pack. So watch Troy Davidson. He's going to try and slot down in front of Jason Martin here as we've got 7 laps remaining. We're getting close to the end, but they need to try and slot in front of Jason Martin to box him off so that they can start working out their own little strategy, because they need to start shuffling their cars around to make this one work. Meanwhile, Dave Douglas is getting a good little run. He's using a bit of side draft on Mirko Dortnak. Mirko Dortnak as well getting a good little run behind Luke Trahair. Dave Douglas and Luke Trahair just working together side by side. Dave Douglas moving his way up on the 3rd line. He is 3 cars wide as it stands, but they're going to come up to some lapped cars soon as very close there on the low line. Justin Howe just manages to get out the way. but that was a bit of a close, dicey moment. They are 3 wide still as they're going to come across the tri-oval section here. They are coming up to a big group of lap traffic, though, and that could be the downfall of Dave Douglas. They can't keep 3 wide when they're coming up. Oh, Dylan into Aaron, into Brad Allison, and Dylan up. Oh, Aaron Dillon's gone back on track and collected. That is a big crash.
That is interesting. I'll have to go back and have a look at that. I think he got across the face of Luke Trahere there, because once again, just that small little overlap. And he's just cut across the front of Trahere there, and that is when all the carnage cut loose. Let's jump on board here with Trahere. I think we might have even missed it, actually. Let's just go back a little bit.
Yeah, and not the wisest of... So yeah, he gets just caught. You'll see it here. He gets caught on Trahere, and then he comes back on track and then T-bones his teammate of Kay Donnelly, and
there it is.
That Brad Allison, unfortunately the victim in that one. The 03 very much getting caught out. Aaron Dillon just coming back on the track then and just wiping out a whole heap of cars. It's tricky to do. You can't really, it's hard to slow the truck down, but he tried to keep his foot on, but the trouble is you can't do that with that banking, because it's just going to launch the truck up. You can't get on the banking from that position. You're just going to end up smashing into a whole heap of cars there. So, not sure who's to blame at the start of the incident, but not a safe rejoin there from Aaron Dillon.
Indeed. That's going to be looked at. And albeit I didn't call that it was going to be the first caution of the night, just wanted to point out that we will be going green with 3 laps to go. So it's going to be a fast run to the finish. Is anyone going to jump into pit lane? Does anyone have fuel issues? I think this is probably, out of everyone, going to be the biggest breath of fresh air for Jason Martin, who would have been
saved them. This will give them fuel to the end, so they won't need to worry about that now. They're going to have enough fuel to the end. You might see a few people jump in for some fresh tyres, just try for a little bit of something. I think Matty Hunter coming into pit lane.
Yeah, Brad Allison
as well. Big commiseration to Brad Allison, because he was having a fantastic run up there in P3/3-4. Very much just got caught out. Really just unlucky, just wrong place, wrong time there. But fresh tyres, bit of fuel. He's still going to be on the lead lap. This is not over for sure. So this could actually turn out to be the winning strategy right here. Watch out for Dave Douglas as well. Dave Douglas has worked his way up nicely. 28 positions gained in this race. Same as Aidan Schultz down in 9th position. Both 28 positions gained.
Yeah, Schultz got some damage out of that, unfortunately, as well. Into the damage on the back of Trahere's car there too. But Dave Douglas got a little bit lucky there as well, because he was in a tight spot when the caution came out, and he's managed to retain P4 out of it. So he'll be pretty happy with. But he had a good run on, but he'll be pretty happy with how that played out for him. He's going to have to work with somebody here. We're gonna have another one of those fantastic finish line finishes, I think. So hold on to your hats. It's going to get wild. We're going to 3 laps to go. So, not sure how this is going to play out. Jason Martin, Danny G had that low line sewn up for a majority of this race. Troy Davison's had a good run on that high line. Dave Douglas has made his way through the field patiently, looking to convert on the other side of it. So he had a podium last week, so he'll be keen to jump back into the comm box, as they all will.
Well, they do love to make their way up here, of course. It's the victory is one thing, but the big winning part of winning an ANZCAR race is the fact that you get to come up into the broadcast booth afterwards. That's the main prize. That's what they're all out there to win.
Absolutely. It's not like you can just not race and come here and commentate.
Exactly. I mean, it's
Like, you've
an
got to earn.
exclusive club up here.
You've got to earn. Martin clutching there as well, just to try and make sure he's saved every much. Well done. Saved as much as he can during this caution period, ensuring that he's going to get his way home. Lights are out on the truck, so we're going to go green after this one.
Hey, a green white checker might actually be a bad thing for Martin right here. If he is a bit low on fuel, which we think he might be, if we get a green white checker, it just extends the race by an extra lap. It could actually be detrimental to those guys that are very much low on fuel at the moment, and could come into play for those guys that were sitting back in the pack a little bit. It could really pay off for those guys that came into pit lane if we get a green white checker, so watch out for that one as well. Keep an eye out here on this restart, because it's going to be a racy one, but it is Mitch Motorsport on the inside, Mitch Motorsport on the outside. Then you have Sim Boys on the inside and Dave Douglas on the outside, with Luke Traher just behind him and Mirko Dortnak just behind him. And away we go. A little bit of a slower start for Jason Martin. Just eases it off there, just to allow Danny G to slide in behind him. So the Mitch boys have got it down on the low line. Troy Davidson sitting there. High line at the moment. It's got Dave Douglas up on the high line with Josh Micklemore behind him. Luke Traher in the middle at the moment. So we've got a couple of different lines forming up. Watch out for the Azir cards. They're going to try and link it up, see if they can get a good run here towards the end. We've got 1.5 laps remaining. Jason Martin just gets a little bit loose, slides around. This is giving Dave Douglas the opportunity to get up in front. Dave Douglas getting a good run here. He's going to try and slot down in front of the leaders, and he does indeed. Luke Traher sitting on the outside now. Traher in front of Josh Micklemore. Dave Douglas is going to be in the lead. Just gets a little bit of contact as Danny G goes into Traher. That's going to give us the green-white checker. Huge accident behind Josh Micklemore, caught up in that. And a lot of vehicles caught up there. That was a big accident.
Yeah, just trying to get loose there. He's trying to force the issue. And it didn't pan out. Traher then just getting caught.
I think Danny actually got caught in a little bit of draft that he didn't expect, with the double draft coming from Dave Douglas and Jason Martin. Jason Martin giving Double D a little bit of a bump and run there to try and get past. And that caused Danny G just to get a little bit too much draft, and actually caused him to go up into Luke Traher. And that's what caused that incident. Big accident there.
Yeah, as you can see there, Josh Micklemore then gets picked up by Christopher Finlay. And Mirko Dortnak, who was having a ripping run. Mirko, he got caught up in an innocent bystander as well. And that has ended his night. So the run of bad luck continues a bit for Josh Micklemore. He's not been enjoying himself as much as usual.
The Pirate King has definitely been having some bad luck recently.
Actually, it does coincide with that bee sting.
Yeah, it does.
There's every chance that might be it. And Dave Douglas now going to get to lead away here.
And look what's happening here. What did I say, Stuart?
You did.
What did I say? What did I say?
Yeah, you called it. So
it's almost like I know what I'm talking about.
You know who this favours very well now is those Azir boys. There's two of them up at the front, and they will be lining up front to back. So it's going to be Douglas with Schultz, and Riley Curtis going to be behind Double D, and Ruben Phelps going to be starting behind Schultzy. So this has worked out very well.
Oh, what the hell was that? Lachlan Oakio has had a technical failure, unfortunately. His screen's gone off, and he has gone into the back of Justin Howe and just put the brakes on, and Norman Clark's gone into the back of him. So we've had a bit of an accident under caution there. Technical failure there for Lachlan Oakio, unfortunately. So imagine, as we say in sim racing, it's a bit like a mechanical failure in Full Metal Racing. His screen's gone off and he's had nowhere to go. So does Dave Douglas have enough fuel to make it to the end? Does Aiden Schultz have enough fuel to make it to the end? Dave Douglas stopped a lap later, so Dave Douglas has got a lap more fuel in his tank than Aiden Schultz, Ruben Phelps and Mick Taylor. So Dave might be looking good for this one. Watch out for Riley Curtis.
I was going to say,
Riley Curtis was looking nowhere earlier on, and now he's right up there. He's the top car on fresh tyres with a full tank of fuel. Matt Hunter as well having a really good run too. Matty Hunter with a relatively clean truck, a little bit of damage on the back, but other than that, looking pretty clean.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a couple of drivers here who are going to fancy their chances. Mick Taylor jumps into pit lane. And he's gone in to get some fuel. Obviously, Jason Martin's going to be on fresh tyres. As these others start to pit, moves him back up into P6. Danny G, P7. So the question is, have they got enough time to execute a pass? And see how they'll form up here.
Wow, has Dave Douglas got enough fuel?
That's
going to be my question. Dave is going to be touch and go. He might be just coughing as he gets to the line. He is going to be so tight on fuel. Same for Aiden Schultz and Ruben Phelps. Those guys are going to be very tight on fuel. The lights have gone out on that truck. You've got the Mitch cars of Martin and Danny G sitting back there. Will we see Danny G just come from nowhere once again? They're all going to have to form up and try and get into some positions, because there's a lot of cars out of position as well that are just coming out of pit road at the moment. So they're needing to catch up to this pack. But of course, you've got to do it in a safe manner as well. And there's going to be a few lapped cars in the way as well. So there's a little bit of a few cars out of position. This is going to be a fascinating restart. And it's going to be Dave Douglas leading away. 31 positions gained. Aiden Schultz, 35 positions gained. Riley Curtis, 37 positions gained. Ruben Phelps, 27. Matt Hunter, 24. Christopher Finley, 30 positions gained. The top six are basically coming from nowhere in this race. A really good run from all of them to keep out of trouble.
Absolutely. It'll be Dave Douglas who's going to control the field here. Pace truck will pull in. How will he manage the restart here? And he goes straight away. Gets it underway. What will Aiden Schultz do? Will he try and slot down in front of Riley Curtis? Don't think so, because he wants to stick with his teammate. It's his best bet to get a result here, is to run with him. Christopher Finlay's jumped on the back of him, with Jason Martin in that low line, with Danny G right behind him. So how are they going to try and execute a charge here? Can they do it? We've got 2 to go. It's going to be very interesting to see here. You can see Ben Vickers jumping onto the back of them as well to try and get... They need to get a little bit more into that top line. They're starting to struggle for pace. And it is Dave Douglas, Riley Curtis, Matt Hunter at the lead 3. Don't be too surprised to see Jason Martin, Danny G try and pop out here if they can. Danny G is just not quite far enough up here to do something with his teammate. As there's another incident in the background.
I think that was Luke Georgeson into Ruben Phelps, I think. No, Aiden Schultz, sorry. Into Aiden Schultz.
Go back and have a quick look at that. This will mean...
sorry, it's Aaron Hayden, sorry. Aaron Hayden just got caught by Troy Davidson, and he got up into Ruben Phelps, unfortunately. And around they go. And that one has caught them out, but...
Right, we'll just go back and have another quick look at that one. He did just got up into Phelpsy, and that was it.
But that means that the checkered flag is going to come out under yellow. And that means that Dave Douglas is going to be winning here at Daytona. Riley Curtis is going to be coming home in second, starting 40th position. And...
Matt Hunter in P3.
Matt Hunter is going to come home a P3.
Unbelievable. Hoping Dave's got enough fuel to get around here. I think he might be out of fuel.
Dave Douglas is out of fuel. No, he's playing around. He's got some fuel.
Playing with the clutch.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Dave Douglas. He's going to take the win. He won't care.
Dave Douglas just having to switch the ignition off and on again. Admis, just the one green white checker for ANZCAR, just because we don't want to have too many going through. So that was the last restart, and that means that Dave Douglas is going to come home and take out the victory. Riley Curtis coming home second, and Matt Hunter coming in third. I think career best for Matty Hunter there.
I was going to say, you wouldn't have picked that at the start of the race. I think Dave Douglas is basically out of fuel. He can't have any real juice left in the tank there, because he is still just cruising around.
Formation.
Surely Riley Curtis. Oh, well, we know Riley Curtis got enough fuel, so it's only Dave Douglas. Might have to give him a push around.
Yeah, gonna have to push him across to the start-finish line to get the official photos done for Dave Douglas.
He literally is out of fuel.
As I said, that green-white checker, it caught out a few drivers. If that green-white checker hadn't come, Jason Martin could well have won this race.
Absolutely.
But instead, Jason Martin finishes fourth still. Jason Martin, you know, even when his race goes poorly, he still manages to have a good finish. Fourth position for Jason Martin. Danny G comes home fifth. Aidan Schultz comes home sixth. 37th to 6th. Really good run from Aidan Schultz. 31 positions gained. Normally 31 positions gained would be the most gained of the night, but tonight not the case. Troy Davidson comes home in 7th position. Christopher Finley, 28 positions gained in 8th. 9th is Ruben Phelps, and 10th is Tristan Koch. So it's 3 cars for Azir Esports getting home, the first time in trucks that I think all 3 cars have been together, and they managed to get 3 of their trucks in the top 10. Congratulations to that team.
I'll tell you what as well, Schultz ran out of fuel. He got pushed in a pit lane by Matty Hunter.
Oh, he's just got enough fuel to do a donut. He got that little push from Riley Curtis so he could get a donut across Daytona's grass. Dave Douglas just managing to get a couple of doughs in there. Not quite enough fuel for a nut though.
Mate, he's going to be fired up in the booth when we get him in here. So he's converted a couple over the last couple of weeks into podiums, but tonight into the big W next to Dave Douglas. So just to run you through the final result there, Dave Douglas with the win. Riley Curtis in second. He'll be wrapped as well with Matty Hunter in P3. Then Jason Martin and Danny G 4 and 5 with Schultz, Davison, Finlay in 6th, 7th and 8th, followed by Ruben Phelps, Tristan Koch in P10. Then it was Ben Vickers, Gary Wellman, Brad Allison, and it was Cade Donnelly rounding out the 14 trucks that finished on the lead lap here at Daytona. So a fantastic finish to the race there.
Yeah, really good finish there. Look, it was we never like to see the finish under yellow, but there was some good racing throughout the pack. Unfortunately, Daytona
3 in a row.
Can be a little bit of a gamble, and tonight again, once we see it once more, Daytona taking a big bite out of a few drivers, but it paid off for a fair few of them, and we're getting joined up in the booth by some of them right now. We'll start off with the 3rd place man, Mr. Matty Hunter. Welcome to the broadcast booth. Congratulations on the P3, Mr. Matt Hunter.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. I've been trying to get here for quite a while.
It has been. This is career best, is it?
Could be, yeah. It could be.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure, but we'll be pretty close to it.
I was trying to think if we've had you... I think we've had you in the broadcast booth before, maybe for something, but I think this might be the first time properly for a P3. So congratulations on that. A bit of a mad finish there at the end.
Yeah, I got really lucky on that last caution before the green white checker. I think I had to dodge and dive and duck and weave and all that sort of stuff and get through, and somehow I managed to get it through.
Look, it paid off absolutely. Obviously, coming into the pit stops in that final caution, well, before the green white checker came out, did pay off a little bit for you. Is that what you were thinking, that maybe we would get a green white checker? It would mean that a lot of drivers would need to pit?
Yeah, I was right on the limit. Like, I was saving fuel pretty hard in that run, and I was right on it, and I just wasn't sure. And I was like, well, I'm sitting 12th, and I haven't got much to lose sitting in 12th, so that's why I sort of just popped in and topped up just to be 100% sure.
And it paid off for you very well. 36 positions gained in that race. I mean, normally 36 positions gained in a race, that would be the most positions gained, but not tonight for yourself, but almost there. Really good run at the end. Obviously, starting a little bit further down the field. Was that sort of more of a choice for yourself, or was it just a bit of a bad qualifying run?
No, 100% strategy. These races here, I don't I'm not really even looking to start racing till probably halfway. All I want to do is just keep in touch with the pack and ride around the back and avoid those wrecks. Most of the time I'm watching the front, looking for any sort of signs of any trouble that's going to cause a caution. But all I want to try and do is get to the last 20 laps with a clean car and see what we end up with.
Well, you almost managed it. There was a little bit of damage to the back there, but it was, other than that, it was relatively clean. And considering some of those wrecks we saw, that's got to be a bit of a miracle to get the front of that truck through clean.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yep. The first caution, I think I got tagged, and I don't know what happened. I just was driving, and I just got turned, so I have to have a look at that. That second to last caution, getting through that was pretty much a miracle. So yeah, pretty lucky.
No, look, congratulations on P3, Maddie Hunter. Well done. It's great to have you here in the booth as a top 3 finisher as well. Before I let you go, the usual thing, a shout out and love to sponsors.
Just shout out to the boys, John and Ryan at Vision Motorsports. We've been pretty quiet lately, but hopefully we're starting to try and get back into it and ramp it up a bit more. And shout out to the old RCD days, Riley Curtis Design days, 1, 2, 3. When we were lining up on that last restart, I realised that we were going to be 3 of us in a row, and I think I was pretty much going to stick with those 2 boys right to the end there and get that 1, 2, 3.
It's great to see. It's a real classic podium right here. Congratulations again, Maddie Hunter, and thank you for all the hard work you do for ANZCAR, of course, but congratulations on that P3.
Thank you to you guys as well for the broadcast.
Next up, we are going to head to Mr. RCD, Mr. Riley Curtis. Congratulations on that P2 there, mate. Well done. Obviously, I'm sure you wouldn't have wanted to see that caution at the very end, because you must have been feeling like you had a chance for the win.
Yeah, it was a good run tonight. If you'd asked me with 8 laps to go, being nearly 7 seconds from being overlapped, if I was finishing second, I would have laughed at you. But coming to that last caution, I did get someone to shoot Dave a sneaky message to say that I'd work with him. So unless he ran out of fuel, I was probably coming second in that race. Like Matty said, I was getting real nostalgic there, the throwback to the RCD days.
Absolutely. I mean, look, it's a classic of the ANZCAR series. It seems like a lifetime ago that we had the RCD cars in the pack, but it's great to see all 3 of you up here in the booth. Your race, you went pretty well. I mean, you managed to avoid pretty much all of those incidents somehow. Your car almost looking like it's brand new, and 38 positions gained in this race as well. Biggest gainer. A lot of places gained. Obviously, it wasn't that easy. As you said, you almost went a lap down towards the end, but just keeping out of trouble, it seemed to have paid off for you.
Yeah, usual strategy around these super speedways. I didn't have a choice to start at the back. I got an EOL, but stay clean, get towards the end there and have a crack. And I was sitting there all sad with 20 to go, because I'm like, this is when I'd be wanting to make my moves, and I was 18th and nowhere, like I said. And then we got that caution that brought us around, and I took fuel, so I knew I was good for a green light checker, which was, I think, the only way I would have beat Dave was if he ran out. So
no, we saw you giving him a little bit of a nudge towards the end there, just so he could manage to do a little bit of a dough. Not enough fuel to do the full nut, obviously, but he managed to do a little bit of a dough, so I'm sure he'll thank you for that one. Riley, before I let you go, first of all, Leighton has asked about how's it going with the cats, of course.
Mate, those cats are fine. They're caged up at Leighton's house these days. He seems to look after them and tenderly care to them.
That's some good news. And before I let you go, the usual thing, a shout out and love to all the sponsors.
Yeah, just a shout out to you guys. He's put a good stream on. I don't run any sponsors really. I just got some mental health stuff on there. So, it ain't weak to speak. Yous are all good for a chat with me whenever. And congrats to Matt and Dave on the win. I did tell him I'd push him around so he could do a skid.
Thank you so much, Riley, and a big thank you as well for running the mental health awareness as well. It's always great to see it on the truck. Well done for the P2. I hope we get you back in the booth shortly.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Cheers for another good night.
And next up, Stuart, I think that's all the people we got in. That's all we got time for tonight. We don't have anything else tonight. Oh, wait, there's Dave Douglas. Dave, you seem to do okay out there tonight.
Oh, boys, what's going on? Yeah, not bad.
I mean, look, not your usual standards. I mean, you didn't lap the field, so I mean... Not quite
Yeah.
good enough, Dave. I mean, come on. What are you doing, mate?
No, I don't want to come out here and sort of make a mockery of the leg, mate, doing that. So I'll just sit around the back there and just bide my time and make sure I don't get hit by anyone behind me, make sure I don't get hit from anyone in front of me, make sure I don't get hit from anyone beside me, or the other side for that matter, or in the air, as a matter of fact. So that's the key, mate. That's the key to the game right here, boys.
But the key is not crashing. That's a good strategy.
No.
Yeah?
The key is not getting crashed into, mate. You don't
yes.
crash here. You don't crash here. Mate. If someone's crashing here, they're doing something wrong.
A couple of people tonight, but we won't get into that. Look, how close was it at the end there, mate? I mean, it looks like fuel was just getting a little bit touch and go.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuel burn rate was, litres per laps, but I'll let the secret out. I had 3 litres at the line, so I don't know whether that's enough for a lap. I reckon it was going to be close. I reckon it's like 3.2 for a lap, so Riley may have had me. Yeah, I'd say Riley would have got the win there if that yellow didn't come out. So saved by the bell, as you can say. But mate, you gotta be there. You gotta get there, and mate, I'm gonna put that down to that big 3 wide move around the outside of everybody that was just fluffing around the inside trying to save fuel. I'm pretty sure the Mitch boys was trying to save fuel there at some point. That's why there was real slow. I thought, nah, bugger it. Let's just drop the hammer around the outside, and then a bit of chaos happened and got us into a good position.
Yeah, well, that pre-ride race was a little bit exciting, of course. We saw you trying to absolutely push the advantage there, and it did look very touch and go for the Mitch boys towards the end. Obviously, that green-white checker is the thing that absolutely changed it all, because they did not have enough fuel to make it to the end with that green-white checker in play. And you obviously, well, you probably didn't either, but you managed to make it work.
Yeah, that's it, mate. I knew they were going to be tight because obviously I asked the boys who was leading this pack, and they said it was Martin. So I think if it goes green, he doesn't make it at all. And Danny G, I reckon, would have got home though. But then it sort of went haywire for the Mitch cars after that, because on that restart, Danny was sort of all over the shop and left, right. I don't know what was going on, but it sort of broke them up, which got me to the lead. And then ended up wrecking or something behind me. So there was a bit of confusion back there. So I don't know, lost their way a little bit there. But that's what happens, mate. They get the double D, mate. They see the double D coming, they get all nervous, mate.
Look, whenever there's a D coming up behind you, you do get a little bit nervous. You tense up a little bit, but you just got to relax and just let it happen sometimes. Dave Douglas getting past and getting the win. Before I let you go, mate.
They don't want to sit on the couch.
Could be worse. It's always worse when it's a double D, of course.
My boys, come and join me on the couch, Carl. I'll whisper the sweet nothings in your ear, mate.
Take sanitizer.
just nice and relaxed.
All right, shout outs. Just shout out to obviously Riley. I saw the message come through, and it was good to see the boys. And I looked in the mirror, it was Riley, and I thought, wonder how his car is. Hopefully it wasn't too damaged. And then Matty, I was sort of working with Matty for a lot in the start there, because I knew he was on the same sort of program as I was running at the back there. So me and Matty just sort of pushed when we needed to get to the pack there, and then we checked up when we needed to. So good to see those boys come through, and second and third. But shout out to the Bandits, and obviously ANZCAR, always ANZCAR. And you guys doing the broadcast, we'll enjoy watching this last, let's just call it 20 laps, maybe. The rest of it doesn't matter.
And Schmick livery.
Yeah. And RCD for the sick livery, as you boys know, every week we got different. Oh, I don't, Riley does, but I'm sticking with it. It's good. But and lastly, just a shout out to Will Barrington, mate.
Thank you so much, Dave. Look, always a pleasure, mate. Congratulations again. Another Super Speedway win for Double D. You seem to have the absolute pace on these places, and you're always at the right place at the right time and always coming first. Congratulations, Dave. Well done again.
Cheers, mate. As Matty Raymond says, DFD, baby.
Thank you so much. And Stuart, before we get into too much trouble on YouTube and other broadcasting companies, let's move on.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing we didn't cover there was Dave's OnlyFans, but we'll leave that to those that bother to pay the subscription.
Everyone subscribe.
Everyone subscribe. Get on it. It's going viral, and I'll let you guys make the distinction about what bit of it's going viral. Anyway, we move on here to a Tuesday night stream tomorrow night starting at 7:24. The Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. We are back with round 3, second of the GT 3 rounds, however, and looking forward to that. That's a Kota, which is going to be a really, really interesting outing with a packed field. So do join us for that one. We've got Pass 2 at 7:20, followed by the main game sprint races at around about 8 o'clock. They will kick off, so do join us for that. And then, of course, Wednesday and Thursday back with the Thunder Series on Wednesday night as that heads towards its natural conclusion, along with the Cup as well. So heading to Texas for the Cup on Thursday evening for 160 laps there. What could possibly happen? So don't go too far away. Join us from the channel if you have watched tonight. Thanks very much for joining in, and do hit that subscribe and notification button so you do get the full experience. And Carl, as always, thank you, and we'll see everyone again tomorrow evening on FGM Ecast, your E Place for Pace. Thanks very much and good night.